So if you're watching this video, you're probably thinking, why did it take me so long to start a YouTube channel? Or better yet, you're probably thinking, why has it been like nearly 8 years since he posted his last video? And honestly, I think it's just because of life. And truth be told, the whole reason I'm even putting out this video now is because by the time you're watching this, it should be May 10th. That is essentially the day that my year starts. It's because, over 5 years ago now, my younger brother, Kadeem, passed away. He unfortunately took his own life. And as you can imagine, that changed me dramatically in ways that I never really thought would happen. And, in the years since he passed, I used to do some sort of reflection on the day or the anniversary of his passing. One, partially to help me reconcile with the loss, of my brother. It was a form of grieving for me. But I always thought it was a way, something I could do to look back on and see kind of like a real visual and audio moment of where I was at mentally in those times. And the last few years, I haven't done that at all, actually. Like, I haven't actually, last year and the year before, I didn't post anything. And as you can imagine, it's a weird thing to navigate. There's a ton of things I never really openly spoke about in regards to my brother's passing, and I feel like I'm in a position now where I feel a lot more comfortable to do that. And before anyone asks, the reason that I can speak so comfortably about something as serious as this is because I've done all the grieving. Well, no, let me take that back. I haven't done all the grieving. I've done a lot of grieving. The first 2 years probably I would like cry like every day by myself. It might be for a few short moments. It might feel like it was lasting a long time. Sometimes I would do it. Almost all times, actually, I would do this in secret. But there was always something that came up that reminded me of my brother. And instead of trying to suppress these feelings, I got very comfortable with letting them out and then trying to process them however best I could. I've done the classic things like driving in your car, screaming at the top of your lungs, like resorted to unhealthy habits and behaviors. And it really wasn't until the last two and a half years where I started to feel like I got a better grip on some of the things that I was dealing with, So for me, I feel like it's poignant that like the time that I come back to YouTube, I can kind of unpack some of these things while letting you know who I am and where I'm at. And one of the toughest things about dealing with grief, dealing with the loss of someone, is, for me, there's two things actually. Realizing that life literally keeps on moving, and wondering, if the person that you are today would still be in existence if you never went through that loss or grief. So to further explain that, I feel like I've become a much better person and a much better human since my brother passed, which is at times a very scary, sometimes it feels really weird to admit that, right? It feels like something that I shouldn't be proud of or happy to say, but I know that it is something that I should be proud of, because I very easily could have gone down a different path. And I feel like most people would have given me grace in my life for understanding why I went through the path that I did. If I chose to, become someone who isn't speaking in front of the camera to you today. And, you know, because of that, I've been trying to reconcile and understand in the last couple years this notion of like, okay, this person who I am now, who I know is objectively a better person than who I was before my brother passed, and is someone that's, I want to continue learning. I want to get better, even though I, definitely struggle at times. This person is only here today because Kadeem had to pass. He had to, leave us. So that was something I really, really struggled with. And it was like someone who I consider a mentor, almost like a big sister of mine. She's definitely a big sister to a lot of people. Her name's Rachel. She had said to me, it's not that I don't think you wouldn't have become this person. You were always this person. It's just that situation expedited things. And, there's a lot of times where I wish I never had to go through an expedited process, but c'est la vie, this is life. It's kind of just how life works. And you have to roll with these punches. I think back to that particular day when he passed. I've spoken at length before on my Instagram, if you follow me, or anywhere else, about my brother's passing. But what was so jarring about that day that I don't think I've really expressed on socials, or maybe I've expressed it to close friends, is that, when my brother passed, I remember, obviously, massive shock. And I remember my mom had called me to let me know over the phone. She was crying, and, I live in Toronto, so I rushed all the way back to Mississauga to go be with my parents and find out what was going on. And at the time, when my mom is telling me this, the cops didn't actually want my mom to tell me over the phone because they didn't want me driving, under that kind of emotional stress, which is completely understandable. So I ended up getting to my parents' place and obviously find out what happened. And my brother had took his own life. Like I said, he jumped in front of a train at the train station that we used to take all the time to come downtown. So obviously, that's something I haven't even worked through yet mentally, because I haven't been back to that train station since. And find this information out, then we're letting everyone know. And it's like I blink, and then there's like hundreds of people coming and going to my parents' place, calling, trying to figure out what's happening. There's a lot of grieving going on. And I remember everyone, my friends, Kadeem's friends, were all in his bedroom. And it's like everyone's in such a state of shock that they're trying to process what's happening. And I remember getting up and leaving, going to the bathroom, and I was washing my face. And then I looked in the mirror and I had this thought to myself that, all right, this situation could turn me into a person that I do not like, but people would understand, or I can try and get better from this space. And so I left the bathroom with that in mind and was just going through the motions, trying to understand what was going on. And, I remember my brother passed away on the 10th, and I had to pay rent on the 15th. And it was this weird way of the universe letting me know that life literally keeps on moving. It does not matter what you have going on, what you're dealing with. The world will keep on revolving, and things will keep on happening regardless of your situation. And the way I found that out was yeah, dude, 5 days later, you're going to have to pay rent. So that was something that was like, oh my God, give me a break. But it was something I had to deal with. And I remembered, obviously, when I found out the news of what happened, I'm like scouring Twitter, the internet to see, or CP24 to see if there's any local news about what happened. And I remember seeing a report of, like there was a report on Twitter and CP24, Breakfast Television, talking about, this had happened. Someone had jumped in front of a train. And I remember seeing the comments, and one comment stuck out to me in particular was that someone said, you know, how inconsiderate of this person to do that, because now you have hundreds of people that are going to be late for work. And I remember reading this, getting so angry because it was personal to me, as you can imagine. It was my brother. And then once again, it reminded me that people are just living their own lives. They have no idea what's going on with other people or other people's situations. So it's easy to make offhanded comments like that, might actually piss you off, might make you upset. And then the following year, from the date of my brother's passing, I honestly couldn't tell you much about that year because my brain kind of it blocked a lot of it out. I couldn't even tell you what happened that year. I'm having a hard time thinking about it right now, and it's because, the more research I've done, you understand that your brain will try to block out and protect you from certain traumatic events in your life, which that was clearly. So a year went by, and I just honestly do not remember a lot of what happened that year. That definitely affected the state of my relationship at that time. With someone who's now my ex, and we're not on bad terms, but, affected the relationship. Relationship ended. I was still doing a lot of creative things. I got deeper into the fitness world, and life just continued happening, and it's so tough to think about. It's so tough to think about my brother at times, because now I'm at a stage where I don't cry every day when I think about my brother. But what happens, or what I do think about, is how often my brother would enjoy some of the things that I'm doing now. There are things that I'm doing for myself mentally and physically that I think Kadeem could have benefited from if I had only known. I think about anytime new music comes out, he would probably like this song because he is the reason that I even enjoy music as much as I do. I think about how often I've come in contact with new people in my life who are now like my dear friends that will never have a chance to meet him, and that's really upsetting at times. But in a weird way, they're meeting him because he lives through me in many different ways. So it's all tough. It's a constant grieving process. And as I said earlier, make no mistake, like the reason I am able to speak about this as calmly in the way that I am right now is because I've done all the grieving, like I've done all the things I've grieved, and I'm still grieving, but I'm just not where I was 5 years ago. And I think that I'm at a stage now where I've decided enough is enough. And what that really is coming down to is how I want to show up for others in my life, how I want to show up for myself. Um, and there's a lot of things I want to work on. I want to be a better son, because I feel like the relationship I have with my parents isn't the greatest. And I know it's a two-way street, but it is something that I definitely know that I need to, I have to work on. And I just want to lean more into doing the things that make me happy from a creative standpoint. Like, if I'm keeping it a buck, I have spent the better part of the last half decade doing a lot of creative things for other people. And I've never really spent the time to really dig deep into the things that I want to do. Um, I think, to be honest, my skill set works better when I do things in a long format like YouTube. Uh, I think as I've been on this journey of self development, and whether that's from a mental or physical standpoint or my creative development, I think that I honestly do have a lot of things to offer, because I've recognized that there's like a major gap. Um, I don't even know if I want to call it a gap in the industry, but I've just noticed that there's a missing link somewhere in how people are speaking about things, in particular men, and like how they address physical and mental health, and quite often I realize that the only reason I'm able to speak about these things in the way that I am right now is because I went through something really shitty. I went through something terrible, and obviously I hope no one ever has to go through something like what I experienced. But what I do hope is that people can take things and learn from my experience and how to navigate these situations, because I see so many people, whether they're my age or even younger than me, who I see myself in when I was their age, and they don't know the things that I know now. And, if there's even a little way or a few ways that I can help people through dialogues like this, then I want to do that, right? Because you really have nothing to lose just by having conversations with people, and hoping that they'll listen, and hoping that you'll also learn something in the process. So, that's kind of where I've been these last 5 years, just trying to sort out my own shit, figure out my own life, and just trying to get better, like most of us out here. I think it's so hard being let me take that back. Basically, what I was going to say, I think if you're a millennial, we have lived through some wild times. And I'm not saying that we've lived through the wildest times. I know comparatively there's things that have gone on in the history of life that have been way worse. So don't cancel me or take what I'm saying out of context. But I think about all the things that people in my generation have lived through. Plus, you factor in your own lived experiences. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot. But I say all that to say that moving forward, I am making a promise to myself to put more time into creative endeavors that help feed my soul. Because if I'm being honest, I feel like my soul creatively has been dead for like the last year and a half. I've had things happen in my life where people that I really valued, that I thought were my friends, have I've been like screwed over creatively a few times. And for someone like me, that really, really messes with me. But some of these things were meant to happen. They were meant to happen because things happen on the timeline that they're supposed to. So I'm making a promise myself to do more things creatively. I'm literally sitting on like countless amounts of footage from all the cool shit that I've gotten to do in the last year or two, that I plan on putting out and speaking about. And then also just doing a better job of documenting things as I move forward through life. See, I told you this was unscripted. There's no script, so I'm going to mess up. But that's pretty much it, you know? My name is Zamora. All my friends call me Z, so you can call me Z. And currently where I'm at in life, I'm a 33-year-old man living in Toronto. 33-year-old black man living in Toronto, trying to figure this life thing out. I work in the fitness industry. I'm a full-time berries instructor. I also teach at another health and wellness place called Othership. And I'm a producer and director in film and production, and all three of those things come together to make the person who I am today. And hopefully, I can help you maybe learn some things or look at things from a different perspective. And I can also learn from you, so hopefully we will see where things go. But either way, I appreciate you for listening. Shout outs to my brother. I miss you. I love you. I know that you're still around. I see you at different times, but I just want to let you know that despite how you left, I'll never be upset at you. I think you did what you needed to do, and I know that it upset a lot of people. But I have to believe that you're in a much better place and you're happier now than where you're at when you were here. So I'm going to continue to try and make you proud, and more importantly, make myself proud in the process. Because at some point we'll see each other again. You're going to have to wait a long time for that. But either way, I just want to let you know I love you, man. And peace and blessings to everyone that's listening.